The mountain ash forests near Marysville in the central Victorian highlands host one of 6 large-scale environmental projects mounted by David and his team from the ANU. All 6 are distinctive in their design, size and longevity. Ecologist Professor Lindenmayer began studying possums in the area around Marysville in 1983, becoming the world's leading expert on Leadbeater's possum, one of Victoria's faunal icons. His significant research recommendations have been adopted to try to ensure the survival of this threatened species. In 1990, he began studying the mountain brushtail possum, and along with statistician colleague, adjunct Professor Ross Cunningham, they unearthed a treasure trove of information on how these possums live and interact with their environment. They even discovered a new species.
Statistical analysis showed that Victorian possums had longer ears, bigger feet and shorter tails. And these differences seem to be much bigger than what you would expect from geographic differences alone. This, to us, suggested a new species.
This was confirmed by genetic analysis. So we had a northern species and a southern species. And so we named the southern species after Ross Cunningham for all that amazing statistics over decades and decades. Trichocereus cunninghamii, new species of brushtail possum.
The CRES team, as well as various volunteers, have worked diligently to map the life and times and movements of these mammals through this section of beautiful mountain ash forest. Today, a mum and baby possum have turned up to help the research.
So it's pretty heavy. It's got mum and a pretty well-developed baby on board. Okay. And we often catch them together in the same trap. The babies spend a phenomenal amount of time in the pouch, up to 180 days, which is a very long period of time for a marsupial. And then they spend time as a dependent young with mum on the back, and then semi-independent at the foot. And then junior stays in the natal territory or the mother's territory for a year, maybe more. Sounds familiar, you know, teenagers stay at home until they're 30 or something these days. And we've been doing this for 14 years, so really tight, Lockie.
Tags are used to record vital information for the project.
Where we've caught it, so it's Stag CO, which is that large bombed out big tree behind us, and then the date.
This allows the team to return each trapped animal to the exact location where they were caught, again to minimise disruption to their lives.
The remarkable thing is that these animals live for 15, 16, 17 years. So they get trapped regularly year after year after year, often in approximately the same position, you know, within 2 or 3 trees where they were caught before. And the really exciting thing about this is that we're catching mum and baby at the same time. So the genetics work that's being done by Jean Dubarc at Chicago is telling us what the breeding and the mating system is, and basically how the whole population functions, which is really important for their conservation and their management and how they recover from disturbances like fire and logging.
Well, we're using the little notches of ear, getting DNA from that, and then genotyping them for several different genes, and using that variable data to find dad for this kid that's in the sack. We'll genotype mom and then the kid, and then look for dad in the population. And we're actually finding that some of these youngsters grow up and stay right near their mom and dad, and even some of their siblings. And Aunt Tilly and Uncle Fred are just not too far away from that. So they seem to have kind of a neat family social structure.
Okay, and that structure can be seen on Jean's laptop computer.
Right, along trapping session 1892, who's a young female, found her boyfriend, the love of her life, B13, in the neighboring tree, and she sticks with him all along. And then here is her daughter, B25. So her daughter is here with her dad and her mom, and they stay together in the same vicinity through all of this time.
Meanwhile, back in the forest, all the traps had now been checked. Today there were 60. And it's time to take the animals back to base camp for processing. Rainy weather forced this session under roof.
So it's stag CO. His mum. So just go straight in. Yep.
It's pretty bony.
Yep. Go for it. Good. And then we give them about 3 minutes for the drug to take effect. 85.9 for the head length. Okay, 53.2. So she's probably going to be quite old with a head length like that. So you can see the pouch, and you can actually see the milk duct in the pouch, which is really distended. So she's suckled on the right hand side, and then the left nipple is highly regressed. You see, Jean? See the contrast between the two?
Yeah.
So she's actually still suckling that baby. See her teeth, Jean? You see how worn down they are?
Yes.
Unfortunately, she won't be in the market for a set of false teeth. By the time they get really worn down, she won't be able to get enough nutrition from her food. So she'll fall off her perch, and she may be replaced by one of her daughters in her territory. So she's a 7. Been around a long time. That animal's probably 12, 13, 14 years old. We've just done Mum, and now we've got Junior. It's a girl, and often what's happening is that the older mothers are more likely to produce daughters than sons. So what sort of a breeding system allows that's just amazing. I don't know how that works.
So where does all this processing activity fit into the big scientific picture of these Marysville forests?
What we're really trying to do is understand how the animals relate to the forest, and how the structure of the forest affects the breeding and the population growth of different species. And the one that we've chosen for a really detailed study is the mountain brush-tailed possum. And it's a critical animal in these forests because it eats a special type of fungi that lives under the ground, truffles, which then pass through the possum, then they germinate, and then they form close associations called symbiotic relationships with the roots of trees and fixed nutrients. And so it's a very important animal in the ecological processes that drive the forest. So it's something that we've really wanted to learn about, to really understand how these kinds of forests work. These kinds of things you really only understand through a long period of work, putting together lots of small pieces, and we've been here working on this particular population since 1991.